Democracy is a government of the people, by the people, and for the people. It is not a government of the cadres, by the cadres, for the cadres.
I'm a king.
We love our families and communities too much to gamble with their lives by letting thieves stay in power. This is not the future we voted for in 1994. And therefore, it is time to once again move away from an abusive system and leaders who really, really hate us. 1994 was supposed to be about freedom and justice. But none of those things have been fully delivered. There is no freedom and no justice when there is so much inequality in our society. 1994 was supposed to end racism. But today, we have more victims of systemic racism than we did in 1994. Because our so-called leaders are unable to think outside the colonial toolbox. 1994 was supposed to be about healing the wounds of our past. But today, we sit with fresh wounds and scars caused by those who claim to be our liberators. Poverty is a violation of people's rights. 1994 was a crossroads in South Africa's history. We are at another crossroads now. If we do not change course, we will become another failed African state whose citizens are poor, even though our country has natural resources and natural wealth. Unemployment is higher now than it was 20 years ago. Violent crime is worse now than it was 20 years ago. Corruption is not just worse, it is the very reason our so-called leaders are even in politics today. They even kill one another for the chance to steal from us and destroy our lives. Too many people in our society tolerate and defend corrupt people. Some even follow politicians, corrupt politicians, when for the 1 millionth time they lie and say they will put an end to corruption, even though they are on trial for corruption. We are no longer shocked by violence and murder. We just shake our heads and move on. And most of this violence is caused by us, men. We are violent to each other. We are violent to women and children. As a people, we have become used to the unacceptable. When the lights go off at night, we keep talking and laughing as if nothing has happened. When power goes off for 4 hours instead of 6 hours per day, we celebrate and say the government has done well. In the city of Johannesburg, we have become used to homeless South Africans directing traffic during load shedding. We are being conditioned to watch and do nothing while our country gets destroyed in front of our eyes. And we must not let that happen. South Africa will not go to the dogs, not while we are still breathing. We will not surrender to Amasela, Imigodoi. Together, we will build a South Africa that is safe, prosperous, equal, and united, where everyone can live a happy and dignified life in one generation, that is 20 to 25 years. A child born today, by the time they start working, South Africa needs to be a different place, and all of us here in this room and outside are going to make sure that it happens. And that journey begins today. A happy and dignified life is not too much to ask for. People are not asking to be rich. They're asking for dignity. Just dignity, respect. We promise no miracles. Instead, we make clear that reversing this disaster is going to be very, very hard. South Africa needs new leaders with vision and purpose and a strong sense of patriotism. These people don't love our country. You don't steal from the people if you love the country, if you love the people. So this is the main reason this People's Manifesto begins with the question of leadership, good government, and how we can implement the will of the people with sensible policies and laws. We will not only send capable, ethical people to parliament, but we will make cabinet smaller with ministries that work together and have the best qualified people to do the work of the South African people. This country cannot continue to be destroyed by cadre deployment, which we will end on day one. No new government can succeed if the corrupt cadres who are there to look after their friends and their friends in business and their families are still in office. We need to get them out. Democracy is a government of the people, by the people, and for the people. It is not a government of the cadres, by the cadres, for the cadres. And so we propose a package of political reforms that will fix parliament because it is broken. We will fix the government, we will fix municipalities and the state-owned companies from which they steal every single day. It is not possible to change people's lives if the leaders are bad and unaccountable. While political and economic institutions are corrupted by people who do not know what they are doing except to steal from us. This is why we propose placing all collapsing, corrupt municipalities under national government administration within the first 100 days of a new government. That is necessary because municipalities are at the forefront of providing basic services to the people. An inability to deliver basic services is a violation of human rights. You know, last week President Ramaphosa said, and he hides most of the time, by the way, he disappears for weeks and then he pops up to say something unbelievable. He was telling people that only the ANC can keep giving social grants. Other political parties will take it. He's lying. My friends, I want to tell you, there will soon be no money for social grants if the thieves are in charge of the national bank account. That's what we need to go out and tell people. They have stolen hundreds of billions of rands. We cannot allow our moral compass to be lost. We cannot win the battle against crime and insecurity when the guardians themselves cannot be trusted. If you know someone who eats once a day or not at all, when you live here, you must tell them Rise Mzanzi will fight for monthly food vouchers for those with no food. Nobody must go to bed hungry in South Africa. If you are a mother with a small child and cannot afford child daycare facilities or caregivers, when you leave this venue, you must know that a Rise Mzanzi government will fight for child care and early childhood development community facilities in every community. Mothers want to work. Mothers want to work. We must give them the means to go to work. But I also want to be clear. We will prosecute drug dealers and distributors and send them to prison for a long, long time. But I also want us to remember, out of every 100 children who started school 12 years ago, 48 did not matriculate last year. 48 out of 100 did not finish school. So a lot of young people who are unemployed have either very few skills or no skills at all. So we will present a fully funded plan to place 1 million additional young people in training within 5 years so they can find work. We have to rebuild our economy. We have to fix our economy so that we can make our manifesto a reality. This is going to be very hard, but we have a good plan for fixing our economy and putting people to work. First, we will tackle violent crime. People cannot open or run businesses when they get robbed or killed every day. You cannot keep and run a business when you are afraid. We also cannot get foreign investment if people are afraid to come to our country. So we have to fix crime. We can use the same technique that was used during COVID to release 100 billion over 5 years to provide patient, low-cost funding to innovative Black and woman-owned businesses. These entrepreneurs will get help with specialized training and mentoring in partnership with successful businesses so that they do not fail. These people go around saying business is the enemy while they busy getting money from their friends in business. Successful business people must help young entrepreneurs to also be successful. And I'll tell you what, many of them want to do it, but the comrades won't let them do it because they will only do it if you pay them a bribe. We cannot transform this economy if we do not build new businesses. We cannot grow the economy if we do not build new businesses. There must be new businesses. Our foreign policy will advance human rights and compassion around the world. We will not let the love of money for corrupt leaders to determine when we speak up on injustice or not. Bombing an apartment or a school in Gaza is as wrong under international law and basic human morals as doing the same in Ukraine, South Sudan, or Israel. We must not care how people look or what their religion is, or only care when the human rights abuses appear on CNN, but we keep quiet when the victims are on our own continent. Our society is broken. Our society is broken. Leaders normalize wrongdoing and lawlessness, and so people develop a tolerance for lawlessness. If the leaders are doing things wrong, we will also do things wrong. When corrupt people get rewarded with more political power, society begins to think corruption is normal and acceptable. When our corrupt politicians normalize the appointment of people who cannot do the job, soon we forget why we cannot get the most basic things done. There are those who believe that nation building and non-racialism are dead. That we only need to do politics only for Black people, for colored people, for white people, and so on. I am here to tell you that nation building is back in fashion with Rise Mzanzi, and I'll tell you exactly how we're going to do it. I am here to tell you that South Africa belongs to all of us. But we must do nation building properly. We must think differently. For example, being without land when you really need it is the same abuse regardless of your race. The only reason we have not solved the land problem is because these parties want to use it as a stunt to get votes. We cannot undo colonialism and apartheid because it's already happened. But what we can do is to change the future. And all of us involved in politics, whether Black or white, can make a common commitment to end landlessness, to have spatial justice, to use all available legal and constitutional instruments to ensure that land and spatial justice is delivered. And this includes This includes lawful expropriation, the same way we do when we want to build a dam, a road, or a mine. These things can be done and done lawfully. The only reason they don't do them is because they are not going to get money out of it, so they don't care. It is time that South Africa took a decision to treat all people without land the same and make sure that they have enough land to live a healthy, prosperous life. A landless person in Manenberg suffers the same as a landless person in Side C. Economic justice is not just about redistributing wealth. It is about ensuring that we leave no one behind. I also want to talk about the issue of immigration. We have a corrupt immigration system. Unlawful immigrants are able to get in because South Africans, our brothers and sisters at Home Affairs and the police, take bribes and to help people fake papers, to fake marriage certificates, and other forms of corruption. We must fix this problem first. And fixing this problem is simple, but it needs political will. We must do a couple of things. We must therefore secure the borders to make sure that you do not have people getting in and out as they choose. Secondly, you must register everyone who is in the country within 6 months and determine whether they qualify to be here or not. We cannot have a situation where we do not know who is here and what they are busy doing. So we must go out there and tell the people not to be fooled. We know which names and faces laid the groundwork for the destruction of South Africa. We know their names. We know what they look like. Even when they form new political parties, wear new t-shirts and sing different slogans, we know who they are. We must not allow them to act brand new here. They are all the same. We know Isela, whether they are in ANC colors or the colors of another political party. We know. We must go and tell the people not to be fooled with promises of miracles. Miracles they will never deliver, because what we know is that even those who claim that they stand for black people and sovereignty, they were happy to hand the country over to a family from India. We must not believe the liars. They lie, they steal, they promise too much, but they are all the same. They are corrupt to the core. But Rise Mzanzi is here now. We are here now. We have new leaders. We have a better vision. We have a better vision. Take time to read this manifesto. Take time to read this manifesto, because in here are the things you told us are important to you. The mothers who said the maintenance court does not work. The single mothers who said, I don't have anywhere to leave my child when I go to work. The parents who said my children are addicted to drugs and I cannot help them because there is no rehab. The people who said the police are corrupt, we won't even report crimes to them. All of that is here because we were listening while they were laughing. We need to wake up every day to meet and connect with South Africans and tell them that Rise Mzanzi is here to build the South Africa we deserve. We, all of us here, are the new leaders we've been waiting for. Let us rise. Rise for your families. Rise for your communities. Rise from Mzanzi. Rise Mzanzi, rise. Rise Mzanzi, rise. I rise. I rise. We rise. We rise. Together, I rise.
I'm a king, yes, I'm a king. I'm a king.